Hello everybody, here we are today talking about Kyle Connor, who continues to hide in plain sight with the Winnipeg Jets. But before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So Kyle Connor is in his 9th season with the Winnipeg Jets, and things have gone really well in that time as they made the playoffs on 6 occasions, soon to be 7 by the end of the year. You know, I think this is one of those deals where you see the success all the time, but this year is looking to be really good for him and the team, as you are having a good year from Kyle, as well as the Jets looking to possibly go out there and win the President's Trophy for the first time in club history. So despite all this, why exactly are we bringing this up? Well, it's because I think even with the former and then the current success, Kyle still needs more attention. Mind you, this is a guy that in his rookie season had just 5 points in 20 games in just over 12 minutes. Not anything that makes you say, wow, this 2015 first round pick is going to do massive things for us. But everything that's followed after that has been really, really good. So his second season, 31 goals after a 5-point rookie campaign. It was kind of small, not getting a ton of minutes. He has 31 goals and is part of the best Winnipeg team to date. Every single season since then, he has been able to score 30 goals or more, or scored a 30-goal pace. The only season that he hasn't hit that total is the shortened 2021 season, where he was actually at a 38-goal pace. And I'm going to put up this graph right now. This is all of the players that have scored more goals than him for the past 8 seasons. So those players are Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, Alex Ovechkin, David Pastrnak, Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Braden Point. Now, I know a lot of you are probably not going to consider Connor up there with a lot of those names, but it is a pretty crazy thing to think of these guys like Ovechkin, finishing first in goals by the end of his career. Austin Matthews, again, a guy that's already won the Hart a bunch. Connor McDavid, superstar. Nathan MacKinnon, a very impactful player that will be viewed maybe not as like a Mount Rushmore player, but a very, very good player. And then somebody like Braden Point, a young guy that has already achieved so much in his NHL career that's continued to go. But I don't feel like Kyle gets anywhere close to that recognition with him. And this is where I feel like this year kind of ties into that too, because right now, where does he rank in points? Where do you think he ranks in points in the league? He ranks 6th, which is kind of fitting, where he is having another really, really good year, but is again probably flying under the radar a little bit. And this is just one of those deals where it's consistent, where it seems we are consistently not giving him enough attention, which is kind of the point of today's video. And this year, kind of talking about it already, looks like it will be a really good year. His previous high for points was 93, and he is set to crack the 100-point mark for the first time if things continue, as he's on pace for 101 points. So I don't think they'll end up ever actually going out there and winning any awards, mind you. But I will say, kind of again, going back to the whole him being a reliable goal scorer year in and year out, he could kind of be your sneaky pick to go out there and win the Rocket. Looking at this, his career high is 47 goals. That's probably not going to get you there, but every year that he's probably good for 35, 40 or more. And if he has a breakout year, then yeah, he probably could go out there and win the Rocket. This is somebody that is just interesting because he isn't a pick to lead in a lot of categories, but maybe something like even strength goals would be a great thing to kind of highlight there. As one year, I think he had 37 or 36 goals even strength, and continues to just impress with that goal scoring ability especially, but nice knowing that he might have the capability to be the guy that is not only getting those goals, but racking up a lot of assists in a year that has been so good already for the Jets. And I talked about even strength a little bit earlier, but this season looks like it'll probably end up being a career high for him for power play goals, which is good for him, but also great for a Winnipeg team that sits first in the league for power play percentage. Mind you, they cooled down a bit when they were at like 47 or 48%. I think they're a hair over 33% right now. But to have Kyle having a really strong year where he's already hit 30 goals at this stage of the season, knowing that they could have yet another weapon there in their advantage to possibly just dominate a series off the power play alone would be incredible, considering the way that they have, considering the aspirations they have. And it's crazy to me right now too, because Kyle's on a team that is 3 wins away from having that traditional winning season where you would have 42 wins out of an 82-game schedule. And I know obviously with the way NHL works, it's kind of different because we go by points, but they have not even played 60 games, and they're looking at having 42 wins in that time. It'd be about 42, I believe, in 61, something like that. absolutely incredible, and he has been part of what has been a well-run machine that is looking especially dangerous come playoff time this year. So for a team that can't seem to be slowed down, that's getting talked about a lot, why am I talking about Kyle specifically in this video? I think, as I've already kind of discussed, he deserves more attention in the NHL level, and this is a variety of reasons why I think maybe he doesn't get as much attention. Winnipeg is not a massive market. Unfortunately, they've kind of been getting kicked while they're already down. In a lot of ways, talking about the the lack of fans. Again, high ticket prices, things like that, I know kind of will compete there, but this is also a thing where the anonymous player poll kind of came out and said that Winnipeg would be the worst place to go and whatnot. I think kind of all those things kind of tie back to the fact that you're never going to see them on the same stage as you are New York, LA, Toronto, on those grander stages, if you will. So you might get a little bit less coverage, but I think on top of that too, despite them being a team that makes it to the playoffs regularly, the media coverage probably gets shifted to a little bit other players, different avenues here. Mark Scheifele is a great example of this. Again, the first draft pick in this team for them coming back to Manitoba. He's a guy that signed a long-term deal and is, again, I think the face of a franchise in a lot of ways. Maybe not so much as of late, but is a guy that's played a huge role in this team kind of being what they are today, because he's been there for what seemingly feels like everything. Then on top of that too, you have Connor Hellebuyck, and he is a two-time Vezina winner, guy that could go out there and win it again this year after winning it last year. You have a perennial Vezina contender, a guy that's possibly going to win it again for his third time already in his career as your starting goalie. I mean, that's going to take up headlines regardless. And it feels frustrating because at times it does feel like, again, Connor has been one of the main reasons why they've been as good as they have been. But then if you're a guy like Kyle Connor, where you're like, oh, hey, I'm a good player, you're probably again getting shuffled out of the lineup. And then the final reason that kind of could be attributed to this as well too is they have made the playoffs a lot, but they haven't really done anything. Out of the previous 6 trips, they have been knocked out, I believe, in the first round, I think 4 or 5 times. I know they got knocked out of the qualifying round by Calgary that year, I think. That one was really embarrassing, and they really have only had one run where they've ended up going on to the conference finals. So looking at all this, again, there's not been a whole lot of success in this time when it comes down to being important games. So I feel like for a guy like Kyle Connor, where more of that national stage is on you, it might be a little bit harder to get your name out there when your trips to the playoffs are a little bit shorter. I could have swore, though, that Winnipeg at least went to the second round one other year. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think that they did. We'll have to go back and check at the end of this video. But that is, again, kind of highlighting this smaller market, again, kind of maybe some bigger names in your team or on your team, and then those disheartening losses when everybody is just kind of focusing on trying to actually win the cup, because that's all it's about come playoff time. But it's still really weird considering that he's been with this team for a long time. They have been really good, and over the past 2 years especially, they've looked really strong. So I'm hoping they get more attention. I kind of wonder, again, after things died down a little bit after that Western Conference final run, if kind of the whole team in general was in a way forgotten about. You had the whole Laine trade. That was crazy because, again, Laine really did take up a lot of those headlines as well too. But at this stage of their careers, would you necessarily take Laine or would you take Kyle Connor? I'll kind of leave that up to you in that regard. But I think this is really fun and interesting as well too, because a lot of people might not be paying attention to Kyle Connor right now. But after next season, I think he's a free agent. He will be about 29 years old, a guy that'll probably have, like his 8th or 9th season in a row, scoring 30 goals or more, a experienced player that's been on a winning team. That's where I think more people could say, oh, wow, we really would like to add him to our lineup to see if he could really bolster us and get us to where we want to be, at least to help out in that regard. Or if Winnipeg would say, we've already got Connor, we've already got Scheifele, maybe you want to try to keep him around and keep things going, especially if they have a really good run after this playoffs or during these playoffs. So it's just kind of one of those things where we'll go out there and see. But as I already discussed earlier with the guys that he's been up there in terms of company for goals scored and whatnot, and the consistency that he's given, just a player that I will hope more and more people pay attention to. But again, with the league being as big as it is, with as many players as it is, I think it does get a little bit harder to, kind of keep up with everything. So anyway, what are your thoughts on Kyle Connor? Do you feel like you're surprised by some of these numbers? Do you feel like he is getting a fair amount of coverage? Let me know all that stuff down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle of Falk, you're right.
Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.